I tweeted about it. I do think he's doing it for the money, and I do think it's a weak mentality because he isn't going to play unless there's mass injuries. He's not playing. We put our left back in the team at centre back over him. You're barely kicking balls this year. If you want to stay for that extra 80, 90,000 pound a week, I will respect that as a personal decision because you want to earn your money, get your bag, do your thing. But from a footballing professional standpoint, I think it's a weak move because you play regularly. And what I hope happens now, because he's made a money move over football, is I hope he loses his place in the England team. It may not happen because we know how much Southgate backs him, but I hope it does because making a non-footballing move at his stage of his career, when he hasn't really achieved anything yet, makes no sense. Look, the boys going off to Saudi, in their early 30s to earn 700 grand a week, cash, no tax, that have won everything, fair enough. Laporte's doing it at 29. He's younger than Maguire. But he's completed football pretty much. So I kind of get it. Maguire, you've still got something to prove. You're just standing at Man, but you're not going to prove anything sitting on the bench or sitting in the stands at Man United. But the decision's done now. I'm not going to cry about it every week. The fact he's not playing, the only way it damages us is if we're now not able to bring in Pavard or another centre-back because we don't have the salaries. So that element I'm frustrated at. But as you say, once you've moaned once, you can kind of move on from it. But moving on slightly to Man United, we're going to come to Chelsea soon, people. Going to come to Arsenal, City as well. Talk a little bit about the Super Cup as well. Man United, though, KJ, looking at Gravenberch, sorry. What's your thoughts on that as a deal? I mean, the article, it's funny, really, because I quoted the article in a tweet. And this, again, viewers, please read articles before you come. About 5 Liverpool fans come at me and said, Santi hasn't tweeted that he prefers Man United over City, over Liverpool. Yeah, but he wrote it in his article. Read the article, he said it. But reportedly, the player would like to join Man United. Man United are looking to reignite their interest. Is this a player that you think Man United need to help improve that midfield? Because the other night, it looked shocking. More holes than cheese grater.
He's got a profile that is needed in our midfield. He's got that ball carrying ability from deep. We saw what Martinez Nunes was doing to us for Wolves. Gravenberch has got a similar ability, and he's really good on the ball. Technically, he's very good. And I know sometimes our midfield struggles to keep the ball, or they try and make the pass and just can't get it off in the end. So him as a singular player, I think could do well for Man United. How that fits in with the entire squad, with us being linked to Amrabat as well, with the likes of McTominay still here, Van der Beek still here, Mainu to come back from injury, that would be a lot of players to kind of juggle around for those 3 positions. Is that Ten Hag admitting that not maybe that he made a mistake with Mason Mount, but maybe he has to try and use him differently to how originally planned if he goes and gets an Amrabat and Gravenberch? It'd be interesting to see. I would like to see him there. He's got that Frankie de Jong mold that everyone wants. He's obviously not as good as Frankie de Jong, but he's got that similar ability to drive with the ball, make the correct pass, keep the ball ticking. He can score from range as well. And yeah, I'm just worried about his fit in terms of his fit within the team as a whole, and also his physicality. Like I know Ajax dominate the ball a lot in Holland, but how many battles do they have week in, week out? The Premier League is different kettle of fish. He hasn't really played much for Bayern Munich, so I can't really talk on that kind of element because we are looking weak right now. All of our players just get brushed off the ball, and we need a bit of steel. So if he could bring that steel and physicality with his technical ability and ability to drive with the ball, that would be an excellent player to have. And maybe it might be some future planning. Because Amrabat, Gravenberch over pivot, hey, give that a season or 2 to cook and marinate and unleash it fully in the next 2 seasons. That would be beautiful, personally. So I'd like them both. It'd just be a lot of juggling to do, and plus, I don't know if we've got the funds to fund them both, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it will cost about 30 million. 30 million for United, and I'm not going to lie, I don't even see how that fits in with what you guys got. You guys signed Mount for a heck of a lot of money, and Mount seems like he's going to be he's your marquee signing, so you ain't dropping him. Casemiro is your main guy in midfield. There's one other space there. I don't know if Gravenberch is going to be there. You got Bruno Fernandes as well. Like, Gravenberch wants to come. He wants to go and play. The whole reason why he wants to leave Bayern Munich is because he wants regular game time. I just don't see how he's going to get that United unless Ten Hag's offering him some. I mean, sweet lies, because Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Mount aren't being dropped. The way Ten Hag was speaking about Mount was like, look, I wanted you. You're the crown, the team around you. I just don't see it.
No, I just want to say, I hear you on that. For me, though, I look at it as I would rather have an embarrassment of riches and someone join and then become annoyed than not enough options. And look, I actually don't necessarily think that I don't necessarily think that the midfield three we picked the other day cannot work. But it is the system as opposed to the personnel. There was mistakes from players. They were giving the ball away too easily. But when you look back at the game, I find it really hard to study Man United games when I'm watching them. I'm too emotionally invested. I'm a fan. The fullbacks were not inverting themselves enough to support Casemiro. So whenever they lost the ball, we were being run through. And this grew Wolves' confidence and made us more and more nervous. We've got to get the positioning right more than anything. But I would like Gravenberch. However, I really want Amrabat. And I've got a feeling that we might, if we get both, then amazing. But if I had to choose between him and Amrabat, I am leaning towards Amrabat. Maybe that's because I've watched Amrabat so much more than I've watched Gravenberch in the past 12 months. I must have watched, and I've done a lot of research over the summer on Amrabat, and I'm really bought into the idea of him. But I would love both. But that means Donny's got to go and McTominay's got to leave. Then there's that space for
Eriksen as well.
Yeah,
like Eriksen's there floating around.
Yeah. I don't think Eriksen will leave this year. To be fair, I think he's gonna stay. But we have had some breaking news, people, that we have to jump into live on the show right now. Richard Arnold, a comment here. Man United Chief Executive Richard Arnold has told senior staff 2 weeks ago the club were planning to bring Mason Greenwood back. He also attended a video recording explaining his decision. So it very much looks like, and I think it may have actually been announced by the football club. Now I'm just going to the Twitter account to check because I don't follow their account.
No, it's not. It's not been announced.
There's nothing on there yet. There's nothing on there yet.
Intended. So he's going to make a video, apparently.
Okay, intended. So, but it looks like, looking at this news from The Athletic, that Mason Greenwood is going to return to Manchester United's team this season. Like, KJ, what's your first sort of thoughts, feelings, reaction to the news that Greenwood is coming back?
Yo, I need to see what on earth they're explaining in this video, because it has to be like the greatest, most authentic, most enlightening, eye-opening evidence in a video that I have to see in my life to understand why this decision has been made. I can understand why Ten Hag himself may be open to having him back. I've said it before in different spaces, but he wasn't a player under Ten Hag. Ten Hag's coming in after everything's all happened. He probably believes that because the law hasn't prosecuted him and sent him to jail, he might be able to turn him around as a person, as a player. So I can understand why Ten Hag may want to do that. I may necessarily not agree, but I can understand. But as the football club, taking so long to make this decision, you have to explain this in such a way that it makes sense. Because otherwise, what's the point? It could go massively wrong. Massively wrong. I know a lot of people will be upset. A lot of people will probably be discouraged. Perhaps there is a club announcement.
There is. They've announced it. Yeah.
Just now.
I'm just going to go onto the website because I haven't seen anything anywhere still.
They've actually posted on the Twitter, and there's a link. I've seen it 10 seconds ago.
It's on the Twitter. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go and have a look at that, and I'll put it up on the screen. But I'll continue what you were saying, KJ. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, like well, obviously you'll read through the statement, and we can dissect that as well. But whatever decision's been made for whatever reason, we as fans and as people, we need full clarity, because these cases don't normally happen so publicly, but because it has, we need to know. I think we need to know. We need to understand the investigation process. We need to understand what was found, why these decisions have been made. We need to know, and it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. I don't think this is the right
your rival, JJ. Like, what's your thoughts on it in terms of him coming back and being given the opportunity to play football again, the opportunity to live his life, the opportunity to, I suppose, some people will say he's been given an opportunity to make amends for what he's done. Do you believe he deserves that opportunity? Have Man United made the right decision, in your opinion?
Ooh, look, from a kind of spiritual standpoint, if everyone's like, yeah, I mean, everyone obviously deserves a second chance, and of course, from a business perspective, though, I think I agree with KJ. They have to be able to go and explain this in a way that doesn't damage the reputation of the club too much, the reputation of obviously Ten Hag, the reputation of the decision makers at United, because obviously a lot of sponsorships, all that type of stuff, look down upon obviously the actions that Greenwood supposedly obviously underwent really, really badly. The weird thing I find about this whole situation is that personally, and I don't really want to comment on it too much, but personally for Greenwood, I assume he's still with the woman or with the girl that he was seeing, and he's still involved with that family, and they just had a child.
They just had a child. They are together. Yeah, you're right. Just wanted to clarify that. Yeah.
At that point, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's like if I went and accused, I don't know, KJ of beating me up at a football stadium because we had a disagreement against like Liverpool versus United. But the next week we're doing a stream and we're doing everything and everything's fine anymore. At this point, how can I judge whatever their relationships? I mean, whatever's going on in their relationship, regardless of what I'm thinking. So it's mad. It's mad to me, but yeah.
So reading the statement, it hasn't been confirmed that it's back. They're basically saying we're going to announce it soon, and they're in the final stages of making the decision. I think everyone knows what the decision is. Everyone can probably read between the lines that he's coming back. You don't do all of this preparing just to let him go. You would just say we've decided to let him go, so we can know that he's coming back. And yeah, I know, Terry, we've had conversations about this a lot, about what does that mean for Man United and Man United fans, and I think we should all just take our time with dissecting everything and digesting everything that's happened, because it's been like a year and a half of rumors, year and a half of misinformation. So to outright start pointing fingers at other fans, starting pointing fingers at Man United fans, I think would be wrong. So I think everyone should just wait to the final announcement, listen to what they gotta say, and then fans can move on from there. I think,
I agree. In terms of the statement, I'm going to put it up on the screen now and kind of go through it so the audience can see it. It says, following the dropping of all charges against Mason Greenwood in February 2023, Man United have concluded an investigation into the allegations made against him. This has drawn on extensive evidence and context not in the public domain, and we have heard from numerous people with direct involvement and knowledge of the case. And I think that part there speaks to what you said, KJ, and I think is really important. It's everyone knows my mind on this. I don't want him to return to the football club. I would rather we can help him behind the scenes with counseling, help him find if another club wants him, help him find ways to work. Because I think everyone should have the opportunity to support themselves and their family, because you can make someone a worse person by totally cutting them off. There's an element of kindness that everybody needs to show. But I didn't want him to come back as a Man United player. All I've said all along is if I'm even to think about, and I want to be very careful with my words here, think about considering that I was wrong to say that, I need to be shown some extensive evidence that disproves half of what was said, because we've seen videos, pictures, voice notes. I need something to be said. So I'm intrigued to know what that's going to be. It says, throughout the process, the welfare and perspective of the alleged victim has been central to our club's inquiries, and we respect her right to lifelong anonymity. Well, it's weird because that don't exist because it's been put out there, but we get it. We also have a responsibility to Mason as an employee and as a young person who has been with the club since the age of 7, and as a new father with a partner. The fact-finding phase of our investigation is now complete, and we are in the final stages of making our decision on Mason's future. Contrary to media speculation, that decision has not yet been made, and it's currently subject to intensive internal deliberation. Responsibility ultimately rests with the chief executive officer. Once made, the decision will be communicated and explained to the club's internal and external stakeholders. So essentially, this is not Eric Ten Hag deciding. This is going to be down to Richard Arnold and the owners of the football club, the Glazers, to decide. That will then be communicated to the manager, the playing staff, both the male and female teams, and then external stakeholders. And for anyone that doesn't know what that means, that will mean sponsorships as an example, and many other people that provide business or we provide business to nationally and internationally. And look, listen, I think me and you spoke about this privately, KJ, in terms of helping Mason Greenwood out as a young man, someone they've known since 7 years of age. The club should do that. Whether they should do that and allow him to play, I'm still personally against it. I know they're saying the decision hasn't been made, but we can all read between the lines here. You don't make that statement, in my view. That statement has probably been pre-prepared and been released now because they know that the Athletic have got hold of the fact that he's coming back. So they've got to start that process now. Viewers, let us know what you think and what you feel. Listen, I've in the reason why I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from Man United fans, but the reason that I have to be, unless my mind gets changed, I was scathing when, and they're different crimes, but when Luis Suarez did what he did to Evra, I said Liverpool should sack him. When John Terry did what he did to Anton Ferdinand, I said Chelsea should sack him. As examples. So I can't sit there and see what I've seen and not have that same attitude towards my own club. It would make me a massive, massive hypocrite. For something, listen, I'm not going to get into which crime is worse, because again, that's just they're both terrible. We leave it there. We don't need to be childish over this. Disappointed. Viewers, let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel in relation to this decision from Manchester United. What I would say, if they're bringing him back, that would also explain why maybe they're not going after another. Again, just on a footballing level, they're bringing him back. It would make sense why they don't drop more money on another right-sided attacker or striker, because if Mason Greenwood comes back and starts performing at his highest level, it's a massive asset for the club to get back, and we're not going to obviously get into that now, but a few people have said, why have we not been asking, sorry, someone's comment made me laugh, go there. Prime here says, also controversial, but knowing the whole story and with a better understanding of the situation, I personally would have Greenwood back. Disagree with me, then that's your prerogative. Stay blessed all. Look, it's a hard thing to say because you're at risk of being clipped up and made to look. I look at it this way. We have seen examples in the world where we think one thing and then we read evidence and we see another. There's been times in my life where I thought someone was guilty and it turned out to be innocent. There's times where I've seen people that I thought were innocent and it turned out to be guilty. I've got my stance right now. I respect yours, Prime. We'll wait and see what evidence comes out, and then I'll make my mind up whether I change it or not. And I'm always open to changing my mind, but I have to be convinced. I'm not just going to be like, there has to be something